Hello everyone! Yesterday I read a post that spread through social media at lightning speed saying that Donetsk region is finished, that Filashkin is asking people to evacuate, that Pokrovsk has fallen, and that the front line is just 16 kilometers from Kramatorsk. So I'm sending you greetings from Kramatorsk. Of course, I won't be dancing here if you know what I mean. But I do ask you to be a bit more skeptical about the information you read online and to trust only verified sources. The front line from Kramatorsk, actually it's even farther away than from Sumy. Filashkin. Your name is Dimitro, right? Vadim.
No, well, Masha, why would I?
Filashkin has been posting evacuation requests on his Telegram every day for quite a while now. And you shouldn't treat this as breaking news. All the way since 2022. In fact, the city of Kramatorsk is alive, shops are open here and all services are operating. Yes, there's no electricity right now because yesterday the Russians hit the substation again. From time to time, we hear explosions around the city because shells land here, just like in Sloviansk. But the city is alive. There are lots of people here, plenty of shops, and many cafes, which are now full of visitors who came to have some coffee because there's no electricity in their apartments. It's true that the front line here is farther away than from Sumy, sometimes about 30 kilometers. Dobropilia, about which it was written that a Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group allegedly entered there. If we're talking about Dobropilia, the city in Donetsk region, that's not true. People are even returning there. We just saw representatives of the Donetsk region police, and they told us about this. And if we're talking about Dobropilia, the village near Huliaipol, then it's possible that a Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group did enter there, but I'm sure it's already been eliminated. I understand that right now, with all the statements flying around about negotiations and about the front, it's hard to understand what's really happening. But I really ask you to approach the information you read with a critical eye, trust only verified sources, and support the armed forces. Because when I read yesterday that Pokrovsk had fallen, it was, well, that's basically like devaluing what our guys are doing there right now. By the way, there are successes in Pokrovsk. Our soldiers are in the city, and they are resisting the enemy. And it's clear that against the backdrop of these negotiations, the Russians are putting maximum pressure along the entire front line. We see problems in Vovchansk, in Siversk, in Myrnohrad, in Pokrovsk, and in Huliaipol. But that doesn't mean the front has collapsed. And that doesn't mean Donetsk region isn't holding. Everyone is in place, everyone is working. So as you can see now, it's morning, Kramatorsk. What's the date today? The 8th? The 8th of December. The city is alive.
There were 164 clashes with the enemy on the front line over the past day. Most of them, once again, were in the Pokrovsk direction. In this area, the occupiers launch assaults every day, 50 times just in the past day. The Russians are shelling along the entire front line, dropping aerial bombs from the sky with missiles. They shelled our defenders' positions more than 4,000 times and launched over 6,000 drones in a single day. The invaders tried to attack positions in the Lyman sector 16 times, 18 times in the Kostyantinivka area, and about 20 times near Huliaipol. They are also actively trying to break through the defense in both the Oleksandrivka and Sloviansk directions. However, wherever the occupiers try to break through, the Ukrainian armed forces meet them without ceremony. In the urban areas of Pokrovsk, our soldiers are clearing out Russian forces. They have also driven them out of areas in the Dnipropetrovsk region. And in this same Pokrovsk direction alone, more than 100 occupiers have been eliminated. And TSN correspondent Yulia Kyrienko is in Donetsk region, having just returned from the line of combat. Yulia, welcome. Thank you for joining the broadcast. We know that you are near Pokrovsk. Tell us about the situation there and how our military assess it.
Congratulations, Natalka. I really am now. He is here. Still in the unit of the 82nd Brigade, which was transferred just to fight in Pokrovsk from the Dobropol direction. You see their symbol behind me today. We saw our guys clearing the northern outskirts. Pokrovskaya. I would like to note that information has emerged that our troops have left the dry ravine of Lysivka in order to improve your line of demarcation. And I really confirm this. This information is true. They withdrew in order to protect our infantry, since the Russians continue to amass forces in Pokrovska, and indeed there are quite a lot of them. Just one battalion of the 82nd Brigade, after several weeks, over 3 weeks of being here, has already been depleted. Nearly 500 Russians were eliminated, maybe even a bit more. However, the occupiers continue to advance on the city. I want to note that every day there are very serious combat clashes. Today, we saw an attempt by assault troops to break through to the industrial zone. Our troops destroyed these assault troops, of course, absolutely successfully. But indeed, the situation is quite tense. The Russians continue their attempts to cut off Western logistics in Pokrovsk. Well, and of course, our troops are trying to expand the logistical routes, and they say that for the infantry, in order to enter Pokrovsk, and for our assault troops as well, sometimes it takes up to 2 days because the situation is quite difficult. Indeed, all these kilometers have to be covered on foot, and that's more than 10 kilometers just to keep going. To defend the city. In fact, the situation in both Pokrovsk and Myrngrad is quite difficult, but I want to dispel the remarks of some experts on social media claiming that Pokrovsk has fallen. Just the other day, I read a lot of such information on social media that Pokrovsk has once again been captured by the Russians yet again. This is absolutely false information. Our forces continue to resist the enemy there. Our forces. There are some successes we cannot speak about openly yet, but the time will come. Official sources will report about this. But I really want to assure you that the fight in the city and for the city is ongoing. Our soldiers, in particular the paratroopers of the 82nd and 25th Airborne Brigades, are trying to push the enemy out of there and save this city. So that's the information for now. Of course, I'll share more details in our upcoming broadcast since the situation with communication is very difficult. Right now I'm here on Starlink, but to upload our video materials, we need a bit more connectivity. And right now in Kramatorsk, especially where we are, there's absolutely no electricity, since the Russians struck the substation again yesterday, so that's making things a bit more difficult. But in the next broadcasts, you'll see more information about how our soldiers are standing up to the Russians, and I want to reassure you once again that our forces are present in Pokrovsk. We need to believe in the armed forces, support them, and not read news from unofficial sources claiming that Pokrovsk has fallen.
Thank you, Yulia. We look forward to your reports in the next TCH broadcasts from Ukrainian Donetsk region. She was in direct contact with us. Yulia Kyrienko, we continue. Volodymyr Zelensky is currently holding talks with British, French, and German leaders in London. Before that, a video appeared of the leaders arriving at Downing Street. The first to arrive at the UK Prime Minister's residence was Friedrich Merz, then Emmanuel Macron, and the last to arrive was the President of Ukraine. He was met at the airport by Ambassador Valery Zaluzhny and at Downing Street by Keir Starmer. He personally came out to greet all the guests and shook their hands. The politicians refrained from making any comments. For journalists, it was the press cat Larry who drew attention, sitting on the porch as Volodymyr Zelensky approached. The leaders have planned joint talks, as well as a video call with other European leaders and the leadership of the EU and NATO. And later in the evening, Zelensky will fly to Brussels. There, he has scheduled meetings with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, President of the European Council Antonio Costa, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. On Tuesday, the Ukrainian president is expected in Rome. All current discussions are focused on a peaceful resolution to the war in Ukraine. And in an interview with Bloomberg, Zelensky previously stated that currently the positions of Ukraine, the US, and Russia regarding Donbas differ greatly. According to him, a number of important issues need to be discussed. And Kyiv insists on a separate agreement for security guarantees from Western allies, primarily the United States.